Alright guys, I'm back again with another Summer Wells video. A lot of people have been asking me questions today, what I think about this, what I think about that. And I think it's time that I come out with some information. But before I do that, I just want to address some of the people that believe that finding summer does not involve looking at Dawn and Candace, okay? If you want to find summer wells without looking at Dawn and Candace, in my opinion, you must be incompetent, okay? Candace was the last parent at that time to lay eyes on Summer, and she ain't talking. She ain't saying a word. And Dawn's beginning to shut down. And that says a lot to me. Okay, guys? That says a lot to me. Now, let me address the position that Dawn and Candace are in with the letter that they received, okay? Let's just actually forget about that, okay? Let's just forget about the little 17-second video that Dawn made. Let's forget about them being cleared of neglect and abuse. Just forget about it. I know it's going to be hard to do, but we have to move on to something bigger and more important. You see, I found out Summer Wells was included in signing the rights away. So, yes, if Summer was found alive, no, she would not go back to Dawn and Candace. There's you a bombshell. There's you a bombshell, guys. And you better, I guess you better find out who your mole is. That's all I got to say. I guess you better find out who your mole is. Praise God. Anyway, yeah, I think at this point, guys, what we need to start doing is focusing on what's to come next. Okay? Don't worry. Dawn and Candace are not going to get the kids back. Just trust me. Do not worry. They're not going to get the kids back. The state's got that taken care of. Okay? You know, the state's not stupid. There's several steps ahead of Dawn and Candace, okay? That's all been worked out. They're not getting the kids back, okay? All right. So we need to work on, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Well, we need to focus on what happened to Summer and finding Summer. And again, if you don't think finding Summer, I mean, if you think it doesn't involve Dawn and Candace, you're very incompetent, you're naive. You know, in my opinion, you just don't have a clue. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean we need to bash Dawn and Candace, right? Dawn and Candace really, over the course of the last few years, have really bashed themselves on YouTube. We've not really had to do nothing. I mean, there was one YouTube segment where They were live, and it, Candace told Dawn, he said, "You're stupid." Candace told Dawn, "You're dumb. You're a dumbass. They just seen you punch me." Y'all remember that? Y'all remember all the drunken lives, the all the live streams that Dawn and Candace done over the last few years? That just, yeah. Y'all know what I'm talking. You have seen them. So do not worry. Do not worry. But yeah, finding Summer Wells definitely, in my opinion, involves Dawn and Candace. It involves their cooperation. And as Ronnie Lawson put it, they're no longer cooperating. Okay. And the police don't want to hear from Chris and Trudy, the private investigators from Elizabethton, Tennessee. TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, they want to hear from Dawn and Candace personally. So when Dawn says, well, it's better that they go through the private investigators to talk to the police don't want to go through anybody to talk to you, Dawn and Candace. Right? They want to speak directly to you. But you know what? Remember, I've been saying Dawn and Candace ain't stupid. Yeah. They're trying every trick in the book, in my opinion, to avoid the police. Because they know once the police have them where they want them, it's game over. I think it's game over. That's why Dawn and Candace haven't talked to the police in a very long time. That's why Dawn says it's better that, the police go through their private investigators. It still bothers me, guys, that the private investigators took Candace to the hospital for her supposed heart issue. It's like, when did your private investigator quit being your private investigator and become your little errand boy, right? Can you run me places? I mean, Dawn is really, nobody really knows this, but allegedly Dawn's private investigators, Dawn and Candace's, allegedly they took Candace to the hospital when she had her heart issue. Sounds like the private investigators have been doing a lot of personal stuff for Dawn and Candace. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'm bringing it out to the public to know. It's time we talk about this. What all? Can we trust these private investigators? Are they trustworthy? Are they maybe doing these personal things for Dawn and Candace to try to get information from them? I don't know. I do know this. Candace was the last person, the last parent to see Summer Wells alive. Well, to see her basically alive. If her story is true, which I doubt it is. I do not believe Summer went in that house to go play with the boys and then end up downstairs to play with her toys. I do not believe that at all. Now, what I do believe is Summer made it back physically alive or unalive. She physically made it back to 110 Ben Hill Road with Candace and Grandis. And whatever happened after that, was not good. Whatever happened after Candace got back with Summer Wells around 2:30ish, whenever they got back at the house, it wasn't good. Now, a lot of people are speculating, hey, Hunter said that the boys were with Dawn at the job site, which would make sense. Because like if CPS showed up and the kids were home alone, unsupervised by their parents, boy, that would look bad, wouldn't it? So I tend to agree with Hunter. I bet the boys were with Dawn at work. Right? Because if CPS had paid a surprise visit to the house and the boys were there alone, they'd be in some trouble, in my opinion. So the boys went to work with Dawn. Dawn called Candace, Walgreens, hey, when you gonna be home? I don't know what they had planned, but and personally, I do not think the boys really know what happened to their sister. In my heart, I believe the boys really do not know what happened to their sister. I think what happened to Summer happened, and it was kept from them intentionally and purposely. And maybe it's better that the boys really didn't know. You know what I mean? Maybe it's better. Because if they really knew the truth, in my opinion, if something evil did happen on that property, it would be a tough pill to swallow as a child, knowing your sister may have met her demise at the hands of, yeah, that'd be a tough pill to swallow. So, where do we go from here? Well, in my opinion, the criminal investigation into what happened to Summer Wells continues. And I was hoping, guys, I was really, really hoping that once Dawn and Candace signed away their rights to the boys, I was really, really hoping that law enforcement would, let's say open up the push down the gas pedal and get this thing a moving. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to go from a turtle race to a top fuel drag race once they signed over their rights, because at that point, in my opinion, the investigators didn't have to worry about Dawn and Candace trying to intimidate the boys, do whatever they could, and the boys at that point were not collateral damage. That's what I was thinking once Dawn and Candace signed over their rights and the boys were totally out of the picture. I was thinking, well, they're no longer collateral damage. Law enforcement can go top speed at Dawn and Candace, because in my opinion, Dawn and Candace hold the key to what happened to Summer, where she's at. And I figured law enforcement would go 110% harder at Dawn and Candace than they ever would have before to find out what happened. And unfortunately, I guess I was wrong. That didn't happen. So what's holding that up? What is keeping Dawn and Candace from cooperating with investigators? Right. Now I'm no longer gonna get on here, because there's just way too many people complaining. Oh, all people can do is bash the parents. Okay. The parents bash themselves, just to let you know. They've done a good job of that themselves. But no. I I can continue this process without bashing the parents, okay? They do that enough on their own. I don't need them, or I don't need to bash them. They can do that on their own. So, where do we go from here, guys? I think law enforcement needs to definitely continue looking into the associates of Don and Candace. Law enforcement needs to keep looking into Don and Candace themselves. Law enforcement needs to keep putting the pressure on Don and Candace and anybody that Don and Candace had around Summer Wells. And where the evidence leads, so be it. That's my opinion. Wherever the evidence leads, so be it. But they do not need to back off and put this thing into cruise control. They need to keep that foot on that gas pedal, have that gas pedal touching the floor. They need this thing going, like I said, it don't need to be a snail race. It needs to be a top fuel dragster race, right? If labs need to be done, prioritize it. If warrants need to be gotten, prioritize, get them done. Get them things done in a timely manner. There's new technology that you need to get your hands on. I'm sure the FBI would be more than happy to share what they've got, right? And even the higher ups, I'm sure there's other government agencies that would be more than happy to step in and help out if they were asked to do so. So, remain patient. Keep your ears peeled. Will there be a press conference, a 4-year press conference? Maybe not, but in my opinion, it probably wouldn't hurt to just have someone say, hey, we're still working on it, going full steam ahead. We have faith that we're going to solve this. Just come out and make a 30-second statement to where you can get the public's trust back behind you. Because there's a lot of people, because there's not been, and I don't blame law enforcement. I wouldn't say anything either. But what you can say is, yes, you're still working hard on the case. You do believe you're making progress, and you do look forward to a resolution to the investigation. Plain and simple. What'd that take? 15 seconds? And I do not think that would hurt the case one bit. And it would satisfy the nervousness, the questions. It would satisfy a lot of people's appetite for, is law enforcement doing enough? When Leslie Earhart came out and gave her thing, I think that was enough. That was enough. A lot of YouTubers ran with it. A lot of the public got to hear it. And, it wouldn't even take, I think Leslie Earhart's interview was, a few minutes long. It wouldn't take but maybe a 1-minute statement from the TBI or Hawkins County to get the public's faith back on their side. Because right now, a lot of people don't know how hard the TBI and Hawkins County, they don't know how hard y'all are working on it. So, don't know if TBI or Hawkins County will see this, but just a 1-minute, hey, we are still working on it. We just want to let, the community, the state, the world know that we're still working on it 110%. we're pleased with the progress we've made, and we do look forward to resolving this case as soon as possible. That would be wonders for the public to hear right there. So anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know what you think. And yeah, drop in comments. Let me know what you think. And I'll catch you on the next video.